President Donald Trump called out former Vice President Joe Biden during Thursday night's debate for saying that he will raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour to help small businesses. After mentioning that many small businesses are struggling during the coronavirus pandemic, debate moderator Kristen Welker asked Biden if he thinks now is the right time to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, a policy that he supports. Biden responded, "I do. Because I think one of the things we're going to have to do is, we're going to have to bail them out, too. We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back." The former vice president mentioned how small businesses were able to take a loan from the Paycheck Protection Program, a loan program that supported more than 51 million small business jobs during the pandemic. Biden said, "They need the help. The businesses, as well as the schools, need the help. But these guys will not help them. It's not giving them any of the money." President Trump asked Biden, "He said we have to help our small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option." The president added, "Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option." The president said, "How are you helping your small businesses when you are forcing wages? What's going to happen and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees." Biden answered, "Not true, by the way. Mr. President said that he would consider raising the minimum wage, to an extent." President Trump said, "The minimum wage would not be raised, to a level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option." The president added, "Different places are all different. Some places, $15 is not so bad. In other places, other states, $15 would be ruining." There were no questions about the Second Amendment in the 2020 presidential debates or the vice presidential debate, despite record gun sales in the United States. The first presidential debate between President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden on September 29 did not mention gun rights, and the second debate Thursday was devoid of questions on the issue. The vice presidential debate between Vice President Mike Pence and Biden's running mate Senator Kamala Harris October 7 also did not include any questions on the Second Amendment. Federal background check data for gun purchases has hit an annual record with 3 months still remaining in the year, according to Forbes. FBI firearms sale data reached an all-time monthly high in June with a total of around 3,932,000 background checks conducted amid nationwide unrest and rioting. Biden has advocated for a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, in addition to red flag legislation and universal background checks, according to his campaign website. Trump tweeted Wednesday, "The first thing Washington Democrats will do if Biden is elected is pack the Supreme Court with radical left judges who will eliminate your Second Amendment." Trump has also vowed to save the Second Amendment in a Wednesday tweet directed at Virginians. President Donald Trump's microphone was cut for the first time around 50 minutes into Thursday night's presidential debate. After discussing coronavirus response and foreign policy for nearly an hour without either debater being essentially muted by moderator Kristen Welker, the first mic cut came as Trump was criticizing Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's healthcare plan. President Trump said before his microphone lost power, "Under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine, he won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care and we are going to do even better." Biden then asked to respond, but was given a question by Welker as the debate continued. After Trump repeatedly interrupted Biden and moderator Chris Wallace during last month's first presidential debate, the Presidential Debate Commission instituted new rules allowing moderators to cut the mics of candidates. Microphones were also muted during each candidate's 2-minute response to questions. Presidential candidate Joe Biden visibly checked his watch during Thursday night's presidential debate. As moderator Kristen Welker began to ask the candidates a question about climate change, Biden shifted his shirt sleeve up and checked his watch for a moment. Twitter users compared the move to a similar moment in 1992 when former President George Bush Sr. checked his own watch during a debate with former President Bill Clinton and Texas billionaire Ross Perot. When Bush checked his watch, the move was criticized as demonstrating impatience with the debate. "Was I glad when the damn thing was over?" Bush later said to PBS NewsHour's Jim Lehrer. "Yeah." Republican Arizona Representative Paul Gosar asked. "Why did Joe Biden just check his watch?" Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden promised Thursday that if elected he would both transition from the oil industry and not ban fracking. The former vice president said his administration would phase out the oil industry, but denied saying he ever opposed fracking during the second and final 2020 presidential debate. Biden said, "I do rule out banning fracking." President Donald Trump responded saying that in the past Biden had supported a fracking ban, on tape. Also Biden said, "The fact of the matter is, he is flat lying. I have never said I oppose fracking." Biden promised, no new fracking, during a CNN Democratic debate in March. His climate plan calls for an emissions-free power sector by 2035. The topic of fracking led to the candidate's views on the oil industry more broadly during Thursday's debate. President Trump asked Biden, "Would you close down the oil industry?" Biden responded, "I would transition from the oil industry, yes." Biden added after debate moderator Kristen Welker pushed him on the topic. "Because the oil industry pollutes." Trump called Biden's comments on the oil industry a big statement, later noting that it would not help the former vice president's election prospects in Pennsylvania, Texas or Ohio. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said Thursday that a stimulus deal is close to completion, but there's still no agreement on the toughest outstanding issues. Mrs. Pelosi warned that while a deal could be reached soon, it will still have to go through the legislative process. She told reporters at her weekly press conference, "They still haven't completely signed off on it, but I think we're just about there. We are putting pen to paper in certain easier parts of the bill, it's close." She also added, "If we can resolve some of these things in the next few days, it'll take a while to write the bill." They haven't settled on any compromise yet, however, for state and local government funding, liability protections, funding for the census, election money, or the tax credits. These items, particularly the state and local money and liability protections, have been at the core of the partisan standoff since the summer. White House economic advisor Larry Kudlow said Democrats are holding on to an ideological wish list by keeping their demands regarding state and local funding and extending aid to immigrants here illegally. He said, "Most of these policies, by the way, have little or nothing to do with this virus. As the president said yesterday, we're not here to bail out poorly run states, whether they're red, white or blue. We're not here to bail out pensions from the state governments. We can do that another time. Immigration policy is very important. We have our views, they have our views, we don't have to solve that now." Mrs. Pelosi also noted that funding and resources for school safety is a large issue she is continuing to work out with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin, the Trump administration's point man in the negotiations. They're set to speak again sometime Thursday. Earlier this week, negotiators estimated Friday would be the last day they could reach a deal and still get a package passed by Congress in time for the election, just 12 days away. Senate Republicans, however, remain an uncertain variable as the conference is divided over how to approach this potential fifth stimulus package. Some have said they could support a hefty price tag rather than nothing, while others are extremely wary of that much spending. Congress has spent nearly $3 trillion on corona relief since March. There would need to be at least 13 Republican senators willing to support a deal costing, at a minimum, $1.8 trillion for it to pass, a feat Republican Whip Senator John Thune said will be hard. When pressed about how to wrangle enough Republican votes, Mrs. Pelosi said that it was a task ultimately left to the president, but she wants a strong bipartisan vote like the other relief packages. She said, "I truly believe both sides want to reach an agreement. I can't answer for the disarray in the Senate.